Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Libra season, Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. All right, Taurus folks, I have done a longer video on the astrology of Libra season. You can check that out. But it is important to remember that we are coming fresh off of an eclipse into Libra season, into a grand trine with Uranus and Pluto. So the beginning, especially of Libra season, is a bit testy. So just be prepared for that energy. Also, this is your fellow Venus sign in conjunct, but you share a ruler. And Venus for the first part of Libra season is in Virgo, where it's not exactly happy. It is in fall in Virgo. But once it moves into Libra, it's in domicile. So just know that like the first half of Libra season is going to be really intense. And we're going to see a little bit of release as we move towards the end with a really kind of lovely new moon in Libra. Don't know why that escaped me. But yeah, just know that we're dealing with a lot of really intense energies. And now I've misplaced some stuff. Also, just be warned, this is going to be chaotic. I'm feeling chaotic today. It's the day after the eclipse when I'm recording this. So, I even forgot to draw your archetype card. So, welcome to the real me. You're always getting the real me. Anyways, so know that that's happening. Know that that's kind of the trajectory of Libra season. A lot of the cards, especially since we're kind of getting to the middle of my recordings, are showing a lot of kind of like moments of real progress and then stuckness in this season. So it's kind of a back and forth. It's very Libran with the two sides of the scale. So know that some stuff is going to feel really flowing and easy, especially internal things. External stuff is going to feel a bit hard and sticky, especially beginning of Libra season. Anywho, moving into your archetype card, we have the mirror, which I think is very appropriate for Taurus, especially in Libra season. This season is a time to reflect. It is a time to look at what we see and to reconnect with it, to reconsider where we are. It's also time to reconnect with our bodies, which we will see if we look in the mirror. To reground. Eclipses are really destabilizing. Virgo season is often a time for earth signs to reconnect with their body if they felt a little tossed around in the other seasons. But this Virgo season, because of the eclipses, we didn't get that time to really reconnect. So I encourage body work. I encourage dancing in front of the mirror as a way to kind of release and reconnect. If you struggle with body dysmorphia like I do, I find that movement that I can see in my body actually helps me kind of release from some of that dysmorphia. Just a personal tip. I also suggest you do it in the nude. Just really getting back to the animalistic, raw portion of existence without kind of the trappings of modern society and clothing. Also, mirrors are portals. When we look into the mirror, we're looking into a different dimension, a different space, and a different time. It's something being reflected back to us. There's going to be a lot of revelations and clarity in this season. Doesn't mean they're all going to feel good. Doesn't mean they're all going to be easy, but we're going to get a better view. I think the most important thing to note, though, is that this is a reversal of what is actually happening. So it's not going to be exactly what's going on. These are going to be impressions and understandings and downloads from the universe rather than a literal representation of things. So take that with a grain of salt, knowing that everything is processed through the lens of our experience, including spiritual things. But look in the mirror this season, see what you see, be neutral about what is jarring to you, embrace what you find lovely about it, and understand that what we reflect out into the world, or what we think we reflect out into the world, is often very different from what the world actually sees. It's a very first housey thing, if any of you are Taurus risings. But I encourage you to look in the mirror, knowing that it is distorted, but understanding that there are gifts and lessons within it, and also an ability to travel between space and time. Moving into our next bit, and I'm pretty for sure, I feel like whichever sign I use this deck for, because I usually use the deck twice when I do these readings, also got the Hanged One. And I do love this representation of the Hanged One because we do have a really lovely cocoon with a universe within it, which I really love. We are still kind of stuck, know that we are still germinating and expanding and kind of cocooned from the hermit energy of the eclipses. The beginning of Libra season, take it slow, take it gentle, take it easy. Don't push yourself to do stuff. The universe is still doing eclipses things. And also, like I mentioned earlier, we are harnessing this really massive grand trine that also has this kind of energy of sweeping us off of our feet and carrying us like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz into another existence. So know that when you feel stuck, that we are still being carried along. We're just not quite at the part where we get to activate stuff to do on our own. The universe is still very much at the wheel, 100%. And like I say about eclipse seasons, and a lot of other practitioners say this, is eclipse seasons are an opportunity to release control and allow the universe to kind of get their, roll their sleeves up and get dirty up to their elbows and dig in and shift and adjust things for our benefit. It doesn't always feel good, and it is not easy to do eclipsy things. Also, depending on what house it falls in, eclipses include things like death and loss and grief, as well as the other types of loss. Not every eclipse is a death, but if a death is imminent, eclipses tend to bring that to the forefront. So, and it doesn't have to be a literal death. It can also be figurative or the ending of something. Um, while certain forms of death do not have a new beginning technically on the other side, it is different on the other side. And so know that we're still here. We're still experiencing that south node drain that happens when we have a south node eclipse, where things kind of slip away and space is created for new things. And also, Libra season is that moment in life where there is that space and nothing is coming to fill it. So it just feels lost and empty, and that can be hard. However, next card, the devil. We are going to need to try different things and to engage in ways we haven't before. The devil can be things like obsession, and I do think with the kind of instability of the eclipse season, this card can be, this obsession with knowing and controlling and having things at hand. But the devil is also being asked to do things in an unusual way, to subvert something, to turn things on their head, especially when it comes to things that are, kind of a norm in society. A part of this Libra season is, and it kind of goes back actually to the body dysmorphia. Maybe you don't have it, but maybe you have something similar, something put on you by society and trauma and pain, which often is where body dysmorphia comes from, or just a soul whose body and gender or appearance doesn't really match how you feel. Now is the time to find a way to subvert these things and to come home to self and to do it in a way that is unusual and shocking and devilishly playful. It doesn't have to be perfect, and especially the devil, it doesn't need to be. But do something different and bold and wily this Libra season. That is one of the answers to this feeling of stuckness. Then we have our lovely High Priestess. A lot of my Taurus folks are going through really big spiritual, subconscious transformations. Don't discredit that in this moment. Don't minimize the massive amount of inner work you are doing just because we're not getting a physical result that is really, working for you, if that makes sense. Just because, big physical things aren't happening doesn't mean they're not. And I understand the stress, believe me. I am currently in kind of in my own set of interesting spots coming out of the eclipses. So basically, don't minimize the power and the long lasting effects of a rich inner world, of the work that you're doing on the underside of life. The external stuff will come, especially once we get into Capricorn season. I know it seems a really long ways away, but it is still coming. But especially once we get into Capricorn and Sagittarius season, I think especially my earth signs are going to feel a little better because we didn't really get our grounding, like I said, in Virgo season, which is kind of the one we're supposed to get. But don't discount the inner work just because in a capitalist society we only value external attainment. And then we have this really beautiful Mother of Cups. Uh, we are needing some emotional filling. And a lot of that High Priestess card is about refilling emotionally. A lot of the Hanged One is about refilling emotionally. We have been drained by the eclipses. That South Node in Virgo has been pulling out all of our issues and our struggles and the places where there's just tangles and knots and past things we haven't been able to deal with. And I'm not saying that you should have dealt with it before now. The eclipses often bring surprises, but now is the time to refill your cup, to take downtime, to do things that bring you pleasure and joy rather than being like nothing external is happening. I need to buckle down and do all of this stuff to force it. It's not going to move, especially in the beginning of Libra season. So release the need to be like, I am failing because I am not moving. And then last but not least, we do have our very lovely, beautiful Daughter of Pentacles. Something is being planted and sown during this season, something really beautiful and fresh and new that is going to bloom in 2026. So I know that feels like a long ways off, but once again, when dealing with time, it's not. It's actually quite fast. Hang on to these hopes and dreams. Hang on to the things you're working on. They are worthwhile. They're just not moving yet. That seed is below the soil and it's going to sprout ironically, as we move into winter. So continue to tend to and care for it, even though you don't see it quite at the surface yet. It is coming. Anyways, my loves, that is my reading for this season. I hope that it was helpful. If you have any questions or you want to comment on this, please pop it down below. There's a link attached for the Libra season video, and I will see you in a different space and time. Blessed autumnal equinox.